Hi, my name is Laura Segedin and I teach at Roosevelt Intermediate School in Westfield, New Jersey. This video is going to show you how you can use this tool to access more tools in your classroom for STEM-based projects.
As science, technology, engineering, and math teachers in the United States accept the challenge to provide more integrated STEM opportunities for their students, a growing need for resources arises. When science and math teachers attempt problem-solving activities in traditional classroom settings, they are extremely limited with both the tools and materials that students can use to design and build. An environmental education class at Minnetonka High School encountered that exact problem. They were learning about wind energy and wanted to custom build blades for a wind turbine. However, the students did not have access to a materials processing lab. Without being able to apply their knowledge by designing and testing their own blades, an important piece of their learning would go missing. Luckily, I met their teacher, Mrs. Walker, during the Siemens STEM Institute one summer. After discussing this dilemma, she and I worked together to plan a unit that would enable my students to build blades according to her students' designs. In doing so, students would be modeling how companies outsource to manufacturers, which are often in other countries. The high school students drew annotated sketches of their ideas, which were then scanned, emailed, and distributed to my students. Initially, these sketches prompted many questions. My students indicated areas that needed clear explanation directly on the sketches, which were then emailed back. Students quickly learned that the quality of a drawing can have a major impact on the quality of the finished product. Therefore, the high school students further developed their drawings to be as exact as possible. Because this collaboration required a good deal of communication, we used Skype in the classroom to manage any remaining questions. Although Minnesota was in a different time zone than New Jersey, the two classes still managed to have a 25-minute overlap in time, which enabled our conversations to be live. Because there were only 8 groups, my entire class listened quietly while one group walked up to the webcam and asked their questions. All students were able to view video of the opposing class because it was projected through an LCD at the front of the classroom. As students listened to each conversation, they took notes on additional questions to ask. After this first Skype session, my students learned the importance of keeping a work schedule. They only had about 2 weeks to make a pattern and build a polished end product before the next Skype session. Any questions or comments that arose in the interim were emailed to the corresponding school. As our next Skype session was held, both classes were very eager to communicate. My students were proud to showcase the work that they completed, and the high school students were excited to see their ideas come to life. Any issues or discrepancies were discussed so that my students could revise their work to meet the specifications of their counterparts. Having never worked for a client, my students took the constructive criticism very seriously. After a lot of hard work, my students wanted to see how each set of blades responded to wind. So we attached the blades to a kit turbine and tested them outside in the school parking lot. Finally, the blades were mailed to Minnesota so that the high school students could test them. After a week or so, one last Skype session was held to debrief and evaluate the designs of each team. This video shows my students' authentic learning activity and how it is possible to make STEM activities available to students and teachers who may not have the necessary resources. I hope more teachers will consider collaborating with each other to see how they can supplement curricula and engage their students' learning. It is important for teachers to not only include 21st century skills in their teaching, but to also model it for their students.